to Talk with Toni. My guests are Commissioner Kevin Morrison and Commissioner Brandon Johnson. So we're going to start with you, Kevin. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to run for office.
So my name is Kevin Morrison. I represent the 15th district on the county board. That is the northwest suburbs of Cook County, from Mount Prospect and Arlington Heights all the way to Elgin, and from the north, Barrington, all the way to the south of Elk Grove Village. Since I was
the very northwest corner of the county.
Exactly, the northwest quadrant of Cook County, the best portion.
You'll get some disagreement from Commissioner Johnson, but go ahead.
This is true. No, we have an incredible county. And honestly, what got me interested is, since around the age of 8, I had been incredibly interested in how could we make this world a better place. And so I knew that no matter what, I wanted to be involved in work that helped communities do better. I didn't know how that would come about, but there are a lot of great opportunities that we have in county government to give right back to the communities and make sure that our families are able to do a little bit better. I'm very passionate about healthcare, seeing affordable healthcare options, especially in the realm of the lack of mental health care available to our communities. I come from a family that owns and operates a small business, and so
get a plug.
Yeah, so my family owns Dino's Pizzeria in Norwood Park, Chicago.
Okay.
It was opened by my grandparents. My mom and my aunt run it today, and seeing two strong women run that restaurant and just being aware of all the hardships our small business community deals with, I wanted to make sure that we were seeing policies from our county government that helped a new age of entrepreneurs be able to take their ideas and grow small businesses in the county. And so I'm incredibly interested in just seeing this county do better, and I'm excited to be doing the work now.
Okay, all right, great. Now, Commissioner Brandon Johnson, you represent a quite different part of the county. Tell us about that.
I do, on the other end of the county, and thanks for having us on this show. I think this is an important conversation to talk about the value of county government. So I represent the 1st District of Cook County, which encompasses the western suburbs, Proviso Township, Oak Park, as well as the west side of Chicago. So neighborhoods like Austin and Garfield Park are part of that. I'm a public school teacher by trade. I am a middle school social studies and history.
High school on my part,
exactly.
But the history the same. Go on.
Social studies and reading. That's my true conviction and passion. What really prompted me really was just to work within the Chicago public schools, teaching our children in Chicago. It became very clear to me that you have conflicting systems that oftentimes leaves many of the folks that are in my neighborhood behind. And I wanted to see government become far more responsive to the growing needs that we have. And that's why county government is important, like reforming our criminal justice system and making sure that there's equity and justice that is delivered for people who have been in communities that have been set at the margins for a very long time. Healthcare is important to me as well. I've used the Fantas Clinic, having grown up with asthma. Having Medicare for all is a deep conviction of mine. And so far, the county government has lived up to all of my expectations, but certainly there's a lot more work to be done.
Why don't we come back to the work to be done? We just passed recently a just housing ordinance, which you were the sponsor of and worked hard for. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was an incredible opportunity to really create opportunities for families that have arrest records and have a criminal past to access housing. As you know, President Preckwinkle, one of the barriers that has prevented families from finding stability and moving onto a path, a life of productivity, is just not having access to housing. And so this ordinance is really going to create an opportunity for families to just get a shot at housing. And so the new law, which will go into effect in just a little bit, really prevents landlords from inquiring about someone's background before all other factors have been considered, like their ability to pay, the stability of their job. And that factor has to be important, because if someone has demonstrated that they have been working and that they are a productive resident of Cook County, we can't continue to place that stigma, that burden on them, keeping them out of housing. And the last thing that I'll say, the reason why this was important, particularly for my district, the Austin community is a community that overwhelmingly receives those who are returning out of our jails and out of our prison system.
Disproportionately.
Disproportionately, absolutely. And 80% of the women that return to my district are mothers. And as a public school teacher, we know the numbers just in Chicago alone with the number of homeless students that are in the city of Chicago. I believe the first district has one of the highest concentration of homeless students, right? And so this was a big deal for our county to embrace what you initiated, which was pushing for a racial equity and justice. And so I'm really excited. People maybe work a little harder than I was probably prepared to, but we got it done.
Nothing's ever easy.
Yeah,
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you. You know, our returning citizens often need a hand up and a little bit of help, and surely one way in which we can help them is to ensure that they have an opportunity to get safe, affordable housing.
That's right.
So thank you. Now, you, Kevin, are one of actually you're the youngest member of the body, is that right?
That is true.
All right, and also a member of the LGBTQ community. How have those two things impacted the work that you've tried to do?
Well, so first and foremost, I think it was an incredible honor to be able to run as openly LGBTQ and not having that be an impediment while running in the northwest suburbs. You know, I'll admit, growing up.
Not traditionally a place where one would think an LGBTQ candidate would do well.
You know, it is incredible to see the shifts that we have seen over the past couple decades. I'll admit it was a little bit of a rough go for me going through my education. It's one of the reasons that it kept me in the closet for so long, but I'm so happy to see that.
You're pretty young. You couldn't have been in the closet very long.
Well, you know, it took me until college to fully come out to my family and, you know, finally get the confidence to not be afraid of who I was. And, you know, coming from any type of disenfranchised community, I think it brings a lot to the table. You know, I from a young age, I was seeing the sexism my mom dealt with running a restaurant, you know, going through my education, not being confident in myself, and being bullied, quite frankly. You know, it really changed my perspective. And, you know, I think what this shows is, for one, society is getting to a point that we're recognizing that it's okay to be different, and it's normal. And I am just happy to be able to work to help any disenfranchised community, whether it is from members of the LGBTQ community with helping eliminate language that was really discriminatory to our transgender community this past year.
And our ordinances in the county.
Exactly. And so it's been great to bring that work to the table. But, you know, from everything from the LGBTQ community to the working poor, I want to make sure that everyone, whether you have a disability, whether you're a person of color, whether you're a woman, you have a fair shake. And so it's exciting to see all the changes that the new board is bringing to the table. We've got 7 new members. I've been happy to join Commissioner Brandon Johnson on his many initiatives and accomplishments over the past year. And I think Cook County is in a realm of great change that is really going to fight for our working families and make sure that we are headed in a better direction.
Okay. Let me ask you a quick question. When you talk about county government to your constituents, what do you share with them?
Yeah, and so first and foremost, and this goes from anyone, even from the most educated around us, the question always is, you know, I just actually started taking a couple law school classes. So I'm in the evenings. I've given up all free time.
You're going to be a lawyer? Oh, Lord, okay.
No, honestly, I just want the knowledge. But it's funny when you have a law school teacher ask you, oh, so what is a county commissioner? And that is probably the most common question I receive, especially when I'm out talking in my district. And that's one of the things that got me really passionate about running, too, was the fact that I think it's incredibly important that our residents know about, for one, the abilities of our county government, and really having their county commissioners be available and helping those communities that they represent. And so I really talk about the fact that, you know, one of the biggest things that we deal with is county health. We have our Cook County healthcare system, which is probably is the biggest portion of our budget, but we also manage the forest preserve districts. We help deal with the budget that goes to our state's attorney's office, our county clerk. You know, it's allowed us to implement changes on the county board side that will help see 8 additional languages be translated in the near future for the November 2020 ballot. And I think that's incredibly exciting, especially when it comes to things that I'm passionate about, such as equity.
Ballot access.
And ballot access. And you know, we're a body of government right now that's not taking rights away from citizens in their ability to vote. We're actually making it easier and helping strengthen the system to allow our citizens to share their voice. But I talk about my passions. You know, we do not have in place in this state and all across the nation necessary facilities to help deal with individuals dealing with mental health issues. One of my biggest passions is changing that narrative that the Cook County Jail is the largest mental health care facility in the nation. Things like that need to change. We need to be sympathetic. We need to be on a realm of change and helping create stable housing, create health care for those most needy among us. And I know that especially my residents in the northwest suburbs, they're worried about taxes always on the increase, right? And so when it comes to not bringing the benefits of county government to the most needy among us, it costs far more to house someone in a jail or to make someone depend on charity care or uncompensated care out through the healthcare systems than it would in helping provide those services at the offset. And so it's really exciting to be a part of that change.
All right, good. I appreciate that. Now, Commissioner Johnson, you have a quite different constituency. Tell us about how you talk about county government.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what people expect from government in general is to be responsive to just the day-to-day needs. And, even as folks have a better understanding of what the county government delivers, what people are really trying to, I believe, compel us to do is to imagine our roles bigger than just what the job title indicates or what the function is. And so, I really see county government as an opportunity to convene people together, because county, the government sits like square in the middle of, the northwest suburbs, the western suburbs, obviously the city of Chicago, the third largest city in the entire country. We have a unique opportunity to help set the direction of where we believe the country should go. And so when we talk about reforming our justice system, we talk about the work that the state's attorney's office does, of the number of folks who have been exonerated because of just the unfair, unjust practice of criminalizing Black and brown folks. We talk about the healthcare clinics that we are building, and absolutely the police abuse that has really just devastated communities that rely upon the government to provide safety and security should not be in a place where they are afraid of that very entity. And so we talk about that. We talk about the Fantas Clinic. I use the Fantas Clinic, waiting in those long lines. And now we have a system that is that is reaching more people. And of course, we talk about the forest preserves. That's one area that I think I probably surprised most people about is that our ability to actually have green space for families to actually participate and engage in. So
mostly for free.
And mostly for free. And having had the opportunity to spend some time at the campgrounds with my family, looking forward to seeing that expanded. But I really believe, President Preckwinkle, we have a unique opportunity as a county government to set the direction of what transportation looks like in terms of a just transportation system. What does healthcare need to look like, as Commissioner Morrison has indicated? That also includes the mental health care services. How do we make sure that we're investing in infrastructure? That's work that we get to do at the county level. We get a chance to lead the way, set the tone for other municipalities, including, of course, the city of Chicago, but quite frankly, the state of Illinois, of how do we make sure that government is responsive to the needs of people.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Kevin Morrison, two of our new members of the Cook County Board of Commissioners. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
So welcome to Talk with Toni. We have two of our 7 new county commissioners with us, Commissioner Bridget Degnan and Commissioner Alma Anaya. I'm going to ask each of them a few questions about their new jobs. So we're going to start with you, Commissioner Degnan. Tell us a little bit about how you came to run for office and what you're most proud of or what you found most interesting in the body over the last year.
So I am Bridget Degnan. I'm from Cook County Commissioner District 12. That district includes 14 wards within the city of Chicago, from River North all the way up to Lincoln Square and then west over to Portage Park. I personally decided to run for office not having come from a political family, because I really truly felt that we would be better served with, number one, a woman in that position, and number two, with somebody who would commit more time and energy than I felt the previous commissioner had committed to this district. So I ran.
So you're committed to be a full-time commissioner?
I did.
Okay.
And I have been, and so I'm excited to be here and have this position.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Anaya, you came from a little different route.
I definitely did. So again, my name is Alma Anaya. I'm the Cook County Commissioner of the 7th Cook County District. It's majorly the southwest side of Chicago, including Pilsen, Little Village, McKinley Park, Brighton Park. back of the yards, and some of the other areas
One of the
in
two
that route.
predominantly Latinx districts.
Exactly. So my district is the most Latino district in Cook County and the most immigrant. And I came from a different route to your earlier point. I actually had been working in the Cook County Board of Commissioners for 7 years before I decided to run for office, and it was a pleasure of mine to run for the position in which I had been working for such a long time, specifically in the 7th District, that I already had built a lot of relationships and I was very dedicated to constituent work and also some of the policy and administrative other functions of the office.
So you and Commissioner Kevin Morrison are our two youngest members of the body, right? All right. Now, he came from a family business, and you came, frankly, from a political government background.
No, I did. So it's been a very interesting new experience for me being in elected office. Typically, I am used to being the staffer. I am used to running in different directions, but doing the behind-the-scenes kind of work. So it's been a very good experience also learning the front end as an elected official. And I'm very proud to stand here as the youngest woman ever elected. I know Commissioner Kevin Morrison is the youngest ever elected, but I'm proud to work with him and the other of my colleagues that have different backgrounds that really bring a different perspective to the Cook County Board of Commissioners.
Good. Good. Now let's come back to you. Help us out. What have you found the most interesting, or what are you most proud of in the last year of your service?
Well, I'd say I'm most proud of the work we've been able to do surrounding greening of Cook County and the environment. So, as you know, we started.
People might not know what greening means. What does that mean?
Just making our Cook County come from a more climate change green perspective. So we started Cook County Environmental Commission, and that commission is 9 different people who come from different backgrounds. We have an environmental economist, we have somebody from not-for-profit, we have somebody who works for higher education, a corporate stakeholder, somebody from the North Triad of Cook County, South Triad of Cook County. You have an appointment on that commission, the mayor has an appointment on that commission who's an alderman, and then I'm the chair of that commission. And so we are pushing out 3 main agenda items and objectives each year that can dovetail with environmental policy, environmental legislation, and really push, hopefully, larger scale environmental projects and programs in Cook County. So I'd say that's probably my most, the accomplishment I'm most proud of. The thing that I think is most important that I've learned in the last year is just how much time and energy it takes to make, to touch every single person in my district. You know, at 330,000 people, there's a lot of people. So we've really tried to focus a lot of our time and energy on constituent outreach, whether it's hosting senior fairs or going door to door, because not every person will go to their neighborhood block club meeting, or you know, not everybody is involved in their neighborhood groups. So to really try to reach out and tell people what services we offer and how we can be of help and service to them, which is really why I got into this spot to begin with. It just takes a tremendous amount of time and energy, and is all day long, all evening long if you do it right. So I think that's what was the biggest surprise, just the amount of time and energy that you can spend on good constituent outreach. I'm very proud of the work that our team has done to support that.
Commissioner Naya.
I think I'm very proud of a lot of initiatives that I've done, both within my office and also with partnership with other commissioners. You know, I started off with helping to dismantle the database, the gang database that the sheriff had, and that was an uphill battle in many different ways.
Why don't you explain what the gang database is? Not all of our viewers will know.
Sure. So it was an internal list that categorized a broad range of individuals, majority Black males and Latino males, as being gang affiliated or gang members, just based on gang involved. And it was based on where they lived, potentially what they were wearing, and different classifications that were a little broad. And as we know, the culture of gangs has evolved in many different ways. So just having categories like that was problematic in many ways. So we worked with the sheriff's office to no longer use that because it was being shared with 435 other agencies and potentially putting people's safety or potentially their future in education, housing, etc. in jeopardy because there was no due process to making sure that that individual knew that they were categorized, that they were, whether they got to clear their name, etc. So
people didn't know that they were on the list?
Exactly. No, they did
nor
not
did
know.
they know how to get off, and apparently you couldn't get off.
And you could not get off. So it was definitely a big challenge that we took on very early into my tenure as Cook County Commissioner. I would, I think, add that the other two accomplishments I'm very happy now being as a commissioner was working with the other co-chairs in the Census Commission. We know that the chair, Commissioner Moore, and the other co-chairs, Arroyo and Deere, and myself have been working very diligently to making sure that everybody gets counted in this county. And we want to make sure that people are not fearful to filling out the census and that they are not in any way misinformed with the information that is out there or could be out there regarding potential suppression in the count. And the last thing that I'm very proud of right now, I can definitely highlight the pilot program that we were able to accomplish yesterday that we're going to be starting in our domestic violence courthouse in partnership with the State's Attorney's Office in assuring that individuals that come, survivors that come to our court system have access to order of protections, navigating the criminal justice system and the courthouse, and also having the connection with community-based organizations. We know that survivors, that is a very vulnerable place to be, and having that support system and wraparound resources would be very helpful long-term for them.
Okay, thank you for that initiative. So both of you are elected to office for the first time. What advice would you have for women who are seeking office, since you were successful on your first tries?
Well, first I want to say that I asked you and Alma to kind of collaborate on what we're wearing today, so we coordinate. And I
didn't get the navy part of the
well,
memo.
it's blue and black. And I asked you guys to do that because I think it's important as a symbolic measure, not just to coordinate what we're wearing in solidarity, because we are women. We've had different backgrounds and experiences maybe than the men that come to these offices, but also to collaborate on a togetherness and to make sure that we know, and the community that's watching this knows, that we as women, we multitask differently, that we, when we're on boards and committees, those boards and committees generally complete more work, they're more streamlined, and that to have women in these elected offices is critical in order for good government to work well. So I thank you for collaborating, not just in what we're wearing today, but collaborating in the last year and going forward. So what I would say for women that would like to run for office is just to do it, and to know that at the end of the day that you're the person that's responsible for your own win, and not to rely on other people or maybe on what they tell you. You can always run. It really, you know, you have two legs and you can walk door to door, and that's free, and that you can do it. There's a lot of other advice, and I could sit here for hours. So if anybody wants to call my office, I'm happy to talk to them. But we can do it. And Alma's you were 28, right, when you were sworn in, or 29. And I'm a little bit older than that, and we come from totally different backgrounds. But we were successful because we're authentic, because we care, and because we had a passion for this and really, really wanted it. So we worked hard to get it.
Alma.
I think I agree with everything that Commissioner Degnan has just highlighted. I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that we had 2 women commissioners, and now we have 5. And I think that there's always room for more women to run. And I would just say that, yeah, it's very hard as a woman to take that leap, to say I'm going to run and put my life on hold, because unfortunately society has put so many other responsibilities just in the woman's general role, and I think that it is
more responsibility for the home and child care,
etc. And I think that it's very important that not to second guess ourselves. I think that we all come, specifically like the new commissioner, the new women commissioner, come from an area where they really wanted to help, And being able to do that and know that there is something, that there is a fire within us to be able to go for public, to be a public servant is very important, and to be very true to that. I think the last thing that I would like to add is that it's definitely a daunting thing. It's not easy, and I think generally it's more acceptable for a man to run for office. But I surrounded myself with a great support system, and I think any woman that is considering to run for any position, whether it's LSC, which is how I actually started,
The
local school council is how I started. I believe I was 23 when I ran for that. Whether it's that, whether it's a state representative, whether it's your school board in a municipality, that it's very important to surround yourself with people that are positive, that believe in you, because there's so many other individuals that will tear you down and will make you question yourself. And I was very fortunate to have that support system and to continue to believe in myself and believe in my community and what my community needed and what my mission was as a Cook County Commissioner. So I think that as long as we have that vision, that's our end goal, I think, and to Commissioner Degnan's point about working very hard and diligently and knowing that you can do it, I think the possibilities are endless. I mean, you're an example of that. You're a woman board president. So this is, I think that we continue to break the glass ceilings, and I think that as long as we support each other and we believe in one another and believe in ourselves, we can accomplish anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. On that uplifting note, Commissioner Anaya, Commissioner Degnan, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for rejoining us for Talk with Toni. This is one of my favorite books. It's called Collected Speeches, RFK, and it's the speeches of Robert Kennedy. In the 1968 Democratic primary process, I was a big supporter of Robert Kennedy, much to the consternation of my college classmates, who were all Eugene McCarthy supporters. But I believed that he was the only candidate who could bring together the various tribes in the Democratic Party, particularly African Americans, the Latinx community, and working class white folks. And this is a fascinating book of his speeches. I recommend it to you, and although Robert Kennedy was assassinated, and we'll never know what he might have accomplished had he lived, this is a fascinating view of his speeches as both an elected official and as a private citizen. So I recommend it. It's called Collective Speeches, Robert F. Kennedy. Thank you. We're back with Talk with Toni, and we've been introducing our 7 new county commissioners. These are our final 3 commissioners: Commissioner Bill Lowry, Commissioner Donna Miller, Commissioner Scott Britton. I'm going to ask each of them to tell us a little bit about themselves and their district, and then about what they found most meaningful or what they believe they've accomplished that's most important in their first year of office. We're going to start with my own commissioner,
Yes.
Bill Lowry.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Sure enough.
I am Bill Lowry. I'm Cook County Commissioner of the 3rd District. It's an all-city district. It goes north to Eugenie. It goes south to 87th Street, and then 87th shoots out to Pulaski. So it's a backwards L.
All right. Good for you.
Thank you. And I'm Cook County Commissioner Donna Miller of the 6th District, and it's all South Suburban and Southwestern Suburban Districts. There's 36 different municipalities in the suburbs, starting from the east in Dalton and Homewood, going down to Chicago Heights and Matheson, and then going up to Bridgeview, Justice, just to name a few.
Okay. All right. So you're in the south and southwests.
Yes.
All right, Scott.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm Scott Britton. I'm the Cook County Commissioner for the 14th District, which is Glenview, Northbrook, Wheeling, Arlington Heights, Palatine, Inverness, Rolling Meadows, and a few others. So I'm the north and northwest part of the suburbs, none of the city in my district.
Okay, so an entirely suburban district on the north and northwest, an entirely suburban district on the south, and a little bit southwest, and then city district.
That's right.
Okay. Now, I'd like each of you to share with us, if you would, kind of what you found most meaningful in your work in the last year, or what you're proudest of, or what's most surprising to you. We'll start with you, Commissioner Lowry.
Well, the first thing, what's been most surprising is it's not every day that you follow a legend like I did, Jerry
That's
the
right.
Iceman
Big
Butler.
shoes to
But
big shoes.
everyone, they've been very welcoming, and it's been wonderful. I'm very proud of the Good Faith Effort Transparency Report Ordinance. It was unanimously approved by the Board of Commissioners. And this is an ordinance which is already fostering opportunity and inclusion for minority businesses and women businesses by prioritizing their participation relative to our Cook County contracts. And much like you, I believe everyone deserves a seat at the table. This is the type of ordinance which will see that occurs.
Now, the county had a long-standing minority business enterprise, women business enterprise ordinance. How did this addition complement or enhance it?
I think it complemented it. I think that it supported what was already in the code, but through this process, if you have situations where a bidder on a county contract says that they need a waiver, meaning they are not able to fulfill the MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, or WBE goals, now they have to detail why. We want to know how they've tried to reach the goals before the waiver, full or partial, is given.
Okay, so it's an effort to force accountability.
That's it, and to give everyone a seat at the table.
All right, good, good. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that's important to the Southland is economic development. And one of the things that was important to focus on that I was proud of, although it was an amendment to the tax incentive, it was a revocation tax incentive amendment. So it allows municipalities to look at businesses that might be in the area that are getting tax incentives and see if they've used the tax incentive as it was proposed. And if not, the municipality could go and try to get other businesses to come in there by putting the tax incentive back to regular status and not allowing and disallowing the incentive for that property. That's going to help a couple of different areas because some of the mayors and municipalities have said that there's just been obstacles for businesses that have been sitting there. The property's vacant for a long period of time. So now they have 2 years to go back and see if that's something they want to do. And already I've heard from a couple of different mayors where they think this is going to help, especially for expansion of businesses that might already be in the area.
So businesses that have previously gotten tax incentives are held accountable for performance as they described and predicted in their application.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, very good. And we know that economic development is a challenge in the part of the county that you represent, so this hopefully will provide cities and towns and villages with an opportunity to hold businesses accountable.
Right, it's just another tool, and we appreciate everything that the county already stands for as it relates to the Southland and that economic development piece.
All right, and we just started a new initiative in the Southland, our Development Authority. You want to share that real quick?
That's right. So with the South Suburban Economic Growth Initiative has now had a second part of the phase, which is the Development Authority, which is really great. We had a great kickoff, and that is going to unite 45 different municipalities throughout the South Suburbs and put them together as far as going after businesses, and it's really going to be a model that's going to be replicatable across other areas, and it's going to help spur businesses in our area.
Okay, thank you for your support. Commissioner Britton.
So the thing that I was most proud of was something that I actually made a promise of during the campaign, where I was approached by a number of individuals who told me that their communities were not voting because they didn't have a language ballot in their own native tongue. And it frustrated me greatly because I've seen so many things going on in our country these days in which many groups are being excluded from voting by a concerted effort by various states, luckily not Illinois. But I also found out that there were people who were not voting because they didn't have some aspect of their language within the ballot. So we voted recently on the ordinance which will allow our additional 8 languages to be printed in either electronic form or hard copy form within the structure of our voting system, starting in March with the primary ballot in Tagalog, the Filipino language, and Korean, and then expanding to another 6 languages in November. So I think we're making a point in equity in a lot of different areas of the county, and I think that's done through the new commissioners and the people who have been in place and with you, Madam President, and I think it's been certainly very personally rewarding to see these people so excited about exercising their franchise.
This is an effort that you put forward with Commissioner Kevin Morrison, another new commissioner, and again, it was about expanding ballot access.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, just quickly, if each of you would tell us kind of what you found either surprising or encouraging or interesting in your first year. You've talked a little bit about what you're most proud of. Let's take it in a little different way.
Well, I'll start. I'll go. It's been very rewarding as I go around the district, the way I'm received. Everyone has been warm. The other thing that's very evident is people appreciate when you're working hard. People appreciate when you do what you say you're going to do, and people appreciate when you show up. And one thing that's very clear, electeds need to show up not just when they're running for office, but when they're not running for office, because it's during that process that you need to be quiet and listen to what others are saying, learn from them, take their advice, and then together you've got something that's collaborative. So I find that very rewarding.
Commissioner Miller.
One of the most interesting and rewarding things that I've found since we've been here is that there's been changes in the county as it relates to equity, as it relates to inclusivity. And those are things that I'm glad to see happening. I came from corporate America, where we had sexual harassment training way back in the 90s. But to find that we just started having sexual harassment training here at the county was great to see that we are making strides in making sure that that happens. Also, as it relates to equity and the huge report that came out this year, some of the commissioners worked on that as it relates to making sure that we're being inclusive in every department. So I definitely applaud your office for making sure that we're catching up and up to speed on those issues, because it affects all of the workers, but it also affects the county as a whole.
Commissioner Britton.
So for 12 years I served as a trustee in the village of Glenview, and I responded to a lot of local issues. And so when I got to this position, I was both pleasantly surprised and also energized by the fact that I still function in a way as an alderman in my area, because we have so many unincorporated areas of Cook County in my district. So I've been able to help individual people with landlord issues, roads, sewers, the things that
services.
matter. Exactly. And that's why when I started, I thought, I wasn't sure exactly how that was going to work, and if I was going to be dealing with more broad issues. I do those, and I also do the individual things to help single people. And the last thing I would say is that, often on my boards that I've served in previously as an elected official, I was the dissenting vote. I wasn't always the one who carried the day. And now I get to serve with people like Bill and Donna who see things like I do. It's a nice change of pace.
All right, hear, hear. Commissioner Britton, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Lowry, thank you for joining us on Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.